Hello, folks, and welcome for the first episode, the premiere show of Let's Talk Shop with Russ. I appreciate everybody being on here tonight. I hope you like my little intro. I plan on having a lot of fun on this show. Plan on doing a lot of different things, and it'll come in the near future. But this is tonight's first episode, and I appreciate everybody on the panel, and hope we have a lot of people watching tonight. I'm going to open up the Q&A so I can kind of like see over there. We're going to start right off down the line with the introductions. We'll go from my left to right. Oh, one thing I would like to mention real quick before I start the introductions is I've left this out on some of the other shows, and that was my sticker board in behind me. I'm trying to move it around tonight in the camera so y'all can see it. I'm really going to emphasize back on the sticker board. I left this off for a little while, but if you have a stickers and you want the free advertisement for the show, send me your sticker. PM me on Facebook or email me, and I will send you my address so you can mail me the stickers. I don't mind. I have stickers also, so I can send you one if you want some of my stickers. But the biggest thing is it's free advertisement for you. I'll put it up here on the board. When this one gets full, I'll build another board and put it over here. When that one gets full, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do, but I'll figure it out. So if you have a sticker and you would like the free advertisement on the show, send it to me and I'll smack it on the board. I've got a couple of them. I'll just, since I haven't done this in a while, I'll go down them real quick. First one over here, starting off, is, if you can't, I hope you can see it, is Sterling's Woodcrafts. I have Miter Mike's Wood Shop. Of course, mine's in the middle. Wooden Stuff with Steve French. Chris Cute First Cut. My newest one lately is Dan Inglewood. He's a future scroll saw artist. Timber Manufacturing, and then Charles Deering Wooden Visions in the center. So like I said, if you want to send me your sticker, I will be more than happy to put it up on the board for you, and you get some little free advertisement. And once a week or whatever, or I won't say once a week, but if I get new stickers in, I will point them out that I got new stickers and everything. So you okay, yeah. All right, so let's start for our introductions, and we'll start on my left and work our way down from left to right. And the first one for the introduction is going to be, and I don't even think I was presenting myself the whole time. I hope at least it went through. So my left is Brian Gidney. Go ahead, Brian. Tell us where we can find you real quick.
Okay. My name's Brian Gidney. I'm the owner of Summers Woodworking and the Summers Woodworking Show. You can find me at summerswoodworking.co. From there, I have links to all my YouTube channels. And what I do is general woodworking. I do anything from X-carving to scrolling to turning and basic carpentry.
Cool. Next one is Chris. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, Chris Ahern. You'll find me on Facebook under Old Cranky Workshop. A little bit of everything from working on house renovation to furniture to small projects in the shop, beer cups, things like that. And dropping mirrors for commission pieces in my workshop. So that's about it.
Cool. Next in line we have is David. David, you want to tell a little bit explain where we can find you?
I'm David with DLG Woodwork. You can search me on YouTube, dlgwoodwork.com. Got a few videos there. Got a website. It's got a little bit of stuff, just kind of getting started there. I've been woodworking for about 9 years, but just getting into the online community side of things. And I do a wide range of woodworking, and I'll get good at one of them one of these days.
Cool. I think we all strive for that, to get a little bit better. Every day we do a little bit more. So I know I'm still working on it, trust me. So next in line is John. John, P.A. Cousins.
Hey, how's it going? My name's John. Cousins from Wood, if I could. Scroll Saw. You can find me on Facebook under that name or under John P.A. Cousins on Facebook as well. Generally, I do more of a scroller than anything else. I do woodworking as well. I do boxes, cabinets, shelving, framing. What's that? Outdoor Adirondack chairs, planters, everything basically.
Cool. All right, next on the list is John Schaffner.
Hi, John Schaffner from Syracuse area here in central New York. You can find me on Facebook under my name. I, as well, just like the other John, I do pretty much it all. Focus on scroll sawing, but over the years I've done kitchens and furniture and so fair amount of remodeling and whatnot. But right now I'm just one-man little shop and just go out there and work for pleasure at this point.
Oh yeah, if there wasn't pleasure in it, I wouldn't be in it because it sure don't pay. I do most of all my stuff. I do is even though I have commission work that I do, trust me, you're not making off of it what you should. So I understand it's all for pleasure. Next we have Russ, Mr. Russ Meadows.
Yeah, I'm Russ Meadows. You can find me on Facebook under that name and also Rusty Nail Woodwork. And I do mainly scroll sawing plus small decorative items for the house. Things like that. Nothing real big.
Cool. Next we have in the house Shannon Fargo. Go ahead, Shannon.
Shannon Fargo. You already said that. You can find me on YouTube under my name, and on Facebook and Instagram, it's Fat Guy in a Little Shop.
Very good. And then we have Mr. Tommy G.
Yeah, I'm Tommy Gonzalez. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all under Tommy G Workshop. And I just built a website, TommyGWorkshop.wix.com.
Cool. And so far, your whatever you did to change, Tommy's been having some problems with his audio, and whatever you did worked because that didn't break up at all. So
nice. Yeah, I put it in another jack, so hopefully that works.
That seemed to have done it. I can. Volume's great. And of course, I'm Russ Clarity with Simply Wooden Creations. That's my channel. You can find me on Simply Wooden Creations on YouTube, on Facebook, and also on my own website, simplywoodencreations.com. So tonight's pretty well open for discussion. Since it's a premiere show, I didn't want to just try to cramp the style with any one thing in particular. What I wanted to do was open it up. We'll talk about pretty much anything we want to talk about in woodworking. Whatever y'all guys want to bring up. Also, I would like to cover a couple other things. I would really like for the viewers, if you haven't already in the Q&A, the Q&A is open. I don't know how, we got 7 viewers. Thank y'all guys. I just realized I had to see that 8 viewers. Wow, keep it up. Come on, let's 9, 10. Can I hear 11? How about a 12? How about a 12? 13, 13, 13. Can we have a 13? Can we have a 13? Well, no, we're stuck on 8. So anyway, open up the Q&A. It's open, so if you want to post over there and ask your questions. I would really like to hear from the guys on the panel and also people posting the Q&A. And plus, I do have, if y'all see me turn over here, it's not that I'm trying to be rude. I'm trying to run everything at one time, and we have 8 people watching on YouTube. I would really like for your comments for suggestions for things in the future for near shows. Now, we're pretty well going to cover anything and everything as far as woodworking on this show. We're going to go back and relive some scrolling. We're going to cover the bandsaw, the table saw. We just got through doing drills and bits on that, and so we're pretty going to do open the floor up to whatever anybody and everybody wants to see. But I really would like some input for y'all, the viewers, and from the panel members that's going to be on, of some things that y'all would like to see. And I even got my trusty, hope y'all heard that, I dropped something, trusty notepad right here, so I'm going to be taking notes about things in the future and write down a few things. So if you would, let us know what your suggestions are for things in the near future, what shows you would like to see, what topics you would like to see on the show. And y'all, let's try this. Y'all can kind of like unmute yourselves down the line, and we'll see if we don't have any feedback and everything, so that way we could kind of like open discuss it. If I have to mute you, I'm sorry. It's just because there's either some background noise or something that it's really bothering everybody. But anybody, let's start off with, anybody got any suggestions on what they would like to see in future shows, a particular tool or whatever? Don't everybody speak at once now. You got to like take turns.
Russ, I think you touched on one earlier before we got on air. It may have been the other show was on a minute ago. You talked about finishing, about how you'd like to meet somebody they're really good at finishing. I think there's some maybe finishing tips, finishing techniques, because I know when I started woodworking, that was one of the hardest things for me, was learning how to do finishes well, and then most importantly to get the final finish, that final layer, to get it very smooth.
Yeah, that is actually a fantastic. I'm sorry, guys. I haven't. I made this stand for my laptop, and it kind of like rolls around and moves, and I don't have the pin in it to hold it in place. So it's kind of like wanting to move on me. So, but that's a very good topic, and you're right. There's a lot of people out there that have complications with finishing projects, finishing their woodworking, and trust me, I'm not the greatest. I have perfected some ways that I do things, and I like to do them, and my stuff turns out pretty good, but I'm limited as to what I know about finishing. So, yeah, that would be a very good subject. So finishing, I just wrote it down. That's a topic for the future. Anybody else?
I don't know. I just want to reiterate the same thing. I have a hard time with finishing.
Okay.
And that's one of the questions I was going to ask tonight, is because I just made this dolphin, and I've got to send it to a lady in Tallahassee, Florida, and she wants to put it outside. And it's made of cherry wood, and I've got one coat of clear on it. That's all. I talked her out of painting. And I really, how many coats of clear do you think I should put on for the Florida climate?
Well, first off, what clear coat did you use?
This time I used the Minwax.
Minwax, what?
No, it's out in the shop. Don't get me wrong.
It's going outside?
All right, what color is the can?
Black.
So it's probably lacquer.
I don't think it was lacquer.
Well,
I have that Rust-Oleum lacquer, but I didn't use it on this project.
Well, yeah, that definitely probably, I don't know without seeing it, but right off the bat, you're going to need something like a spar varnish for outside. Yeah, linseed oil. Actually, you could have soaked it in linseed oil before you put the finish on it, and got it soaked with linseed. A mixture of, actually, it's a mixture of linseed oil, 50% linseed oil and 50% mineral spirits. Things that I'm going outside, I'll soak it in that and then put a clear coat over it. But now, when you do that, if you're under commissioned project, you're going to have to realize linseed oil, that mixture, takes a few days to dry. I'm not talking about hours, I'm talking about days. So you would have to apply it and then come back over it with you could leave it like that, but I've come back over it and had very good success with a spar exterior varnish over the top of that.
Yeah, spar varnish for sure.
The problem you have with, I mean, I hate to say this, but almost all varnishes will yellow over a period of time. I don't know of any of them that won't. Polyurethane is a good exterior product also if you use the right polyurethane.
I think that's what this was, but I'm not sure.
Well, you just have to make sure that it says on the bottle or can or whatever you're using for exterior use.
All right, thanks.
That was spray on, Russ?
Yeah, it was spray on.
Yeah, that was probably a lacquer then. I use that stuff all the time.
Dan Inglewood said that he'd like blade alignment adjustments for a topic.
Bandsaw adjustments for blade alignment. Yes, that's we visited bandsaws before, but we didn't go into the nitty gritty of bandsaw blade adjustments and stuff like that. So that's that's another.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest tool maintenance. You know how to properly set up a table saw, a bandsaw.
Yeah, that's some excellent. That's some excellent suggestions.
Sterling on here says most people going to YouTube are looking for basic how-to problem solving. I think we complicate things. Basic fundamentals of woodworking is also great for info and views.
I tend to agree with what Sterling just said. I get more emails, more people talking to me on Facebook, PMing me, and asking me the basic questions than I do anything I've done. So, yeah, I have a tendency to agree that you need to keep it kind of basic, short and sweet. Even like the YouTube videos, you know, they say less than 10 minutes is better for a YouTube video. So.
Well, talking about finishes, and since you just mentioned Sterling made a comment, I had an idea for something you could, well, I don't know, maybe not, but when I was doing the pallet wood project, I used my little Harbor Freight sprayer to put the finish on, and let's say it got the finish on there, no problem, and even 2 coats of polyurethane after that because it's an indoor project, so no biggie. But I sprayed about half the backyard in the process while I was putting the finish on some boards. So obviously, I don't know how to set this thing up quite properly. There's all kinds of stuff that, I'm not kidding, has little specks of stain all over it, probably in about a 30-foot area, just from where I got to use my gun. I don't get to use it very often, so I'm not very skilled at it. So maybe a good
tutorial on how to use a certain tool?
Well, not so much. Well, certain tools too, but maybe getting the most out of your cheaper tools. You know, because a lot of people that are starting out or new to the craft, you know, are hitting the Harbor Freights, the Northern Tools, places like that. You know, buying stuff from. Find a little cheap sander from Walmart. So maybe something along the lines of how to maximize inexpensive tools to try to get professional grade stuff, or, you know, even not just look amateurish. Maybe, I don't know what the difference between the two would be, but might be.
I know a lot of people that make fun of people that buy Harbor Freight tools, and I think that's a big turnoff for people, because you take an average guy, average Joe, who's working hard, he wants to get into this to a hobby, he can't afford a $500 Festool router. He has to go to Harbor Freight or somewhere to get a cheaper tool and be able to use it.
Yeah, that's how I started.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed. I've got some Harbor Freight.
And I know that's how a lot of people start.
I've got some Harbor Freight tools in my shop right here that I use.
I do too.
So, I mean,
I've got quite a few Harbor Freight tools, and it'd probably be a good topic too, just to kind of go over what tools Harbor Freight to stay away from, and what's a good one to actually purchase.
Yeah, there's a few things there's a few things you do not want to buy from Harbor Freight. So I know that. Back to Russ real quick, Russ Meadows. This is a this comes in a spray can. You get it at Home Depot, all those others. This is a very, very good product for outdoors.
Can you spray that on top of what I've already put on it? Because it wasn't that particular.
I know you could spray this over lacquer. Yes, it would spray over lacquer, and I'm pretty sure it would spray over polyurethane. Although don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But
it should be all right. It's already cured by now.
Yeah, I would think it would be all right. But this is very good.
Light sanding on it though.
Yeah, make sure before you spray anything over the finish you have that you sand it real well. And I would sand it with a little rough paper rather than a smooth finish, because I'll tell you why. You want to scratch the surface to make sure this bonds to that. Now, once you spray this, if you decide to sand, you can go with something real fine after that. But the first coat of this over the top of whatever you got, you want to roughen it up so you make sure this bonds to it.
Okay, thanks.
And this will fill in any
light thin coat, though.
Go ahead, John. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Just a really light, thin coat across the whole surface. Let it dry. Probably, if you do a really light coat, it should dry in about 10-15 minutes, like to the touch, and then basically rotate it 90 degrees. Rough it up. Like just take a brown paper bag, just go over your surface again, and then do another light coat. To be done dry in like 15-20 minutes, and then it should be good to go.
All right, cool.
But if it's going outside, ensure you do your edges and the back as well.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll do the whole thing, right.
Yeah. I'll reiterate, a lot of times if I'm going to do something like cherry or any of your hardwoods that are, cherry's a very good one for outdoors. But if I'm going to do it and I'm going to put it outside and I want the clear look, linseed oil, a lot of people don't know, linseed oil has a history of being a very, very good weather protector in the fire service. Linseed oil on all of our wooden ladders, on our axe handles, anything that had wood on it, and we did not put anything on it other than linseed oil. 2 reasons. Number one, the linseed oil, we'd have to reapply it, don't get me wrong, but the linseed oil did an excellent job in protection. And number 2, you don't want anything to cover up. If there's a problem with an axe, a split or a crack, the handle needs to be replaced. You don't want to play around with it. So therefore, by applying the linseed oil, it was clear we would have or if there's a rot, let's say down on the top of the where the steel and the wood comes through the steel, if you start getting some decay or rot in there, you can see it real quick. It's noticeable. It shows up, and you can take care of it. You can replace it. Where other things like varnish and some other products like that can actually hide a defect or hide a problem with that. And so that's the reason in the fire department we used linseed oil. But now we used straight linseed oil out of the can on a rag and just rub it over the axe handle, rub it over the wooden ladder, whatever. I have found a better product is taking linseed oil and mixing it with 50% mineral. Like you take a cup, you want 4 ounces of linseed oil, and you want 4 ounces of mineral spirits, and then you mix them real good and use that. It will cause it to dry quicker. It makes it a little bit runnier where it gets into the cracks and crevices of things, and so and you put several coats or even submerge it. People say, don't soak it in it. Bull crap. I've soaked so many things in linseed oil over the years that I put them in there and left them for hours and come back, and it never bothered them.
And it's good for metal, too. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I
sure
normally
use
have
the
to
boil.
use the Danish oil and stuff, but I didn't put it on this one.
All right, guys, behave. You're gonna get me laughing here. So,
If you're going to use linseed oil, make sure you use the boiled linseed oil, not the raw stuff, because that stuff never cures.
yeah, the boiled linseed oil. Yes, that's a good point, John Schaffner. Boiled linseed oil, not the raw linseed oil.
Okay.
There is a difference. And you can buy that in Home Depot, I mean, any of your big box stores, Lowe's, all of them carry it. I think I even found it, I don't think I found it lately, but one time I found it in Walmart.
Yeah, they've got it at Walmart.
Yeah.
I always use Watkins Danish oil.
I have that, and I didn't put it on this project because she wanted me to paint the doggone thing. And I didn't want to paint it because it was too pretty unpainted.
Yeah, he texted me private messaged me on Facebook about this project, and I was like, he said he had to paint it and showed it to me, and sent me a picture of it, and I'm like, no way, man, don't paint that. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to realize if your customer is demanding or saying they want it painted, you pretty well got to paint it.
I talked her out of it.
That's good. I'm good. Charles Deering's in the house. Howdy.
Howdy, fellas.
How you doing?
I'm just happy.
I'm glad to see you.
Good to be here. 41 hours without a cigarette. Nobody's died yet, so we're good.
Charles has decided he's going to try to back off of smoking, and I am very, very, very happy and very, very proud of him. I mean, everybody give Charles a hand. I mean, come on.
Oh, stop. I said I wouldn't cry.
It's all covered. It's all covered.
That is some of the best news that you have. When you told me that this morning, we were talking that you were trying, and I'm like, "That congratulations, my friend. I wish you nothing but the best."
Thank you. Does that mean you're gonna lose respect for me if I cave?
No, because I understand. I mean, I mean, if you want to tell them how long you've been, I'm not going to say anything. You tell
I've been smoking for 31 years, and I'd slap a nun for a cigarette right now, but I'm trying my best not to.
You can do it. You can do it, Charles.
I can do it.
Yeah, you can do it, but my point is when you've been doing it for that long, I totally understand. It's like I quit smoking back in I want to think it was 94 or 95, but I only smoked for 10 years. I started in my late 20s and smoked until my mid 30s. But my problem was with quitting smoking, and this is going off the woodworking thing, but I don't care. We're trying to help. I'm trying to help my buddy here, Charles. My problem is it is such a not only the addiction affects you, it's the habit. I was so used to having that cigarette in between my fingers, and then I refused to wear a shirt that didn't have a pocket. You did not see a shirt that it had to have a pocket for my cigarettes.
I still find myself reaching for a darn cigarette in my pocket.
For months after I'd quit smoking, I would reach up here and grab looking for my cigarettes in my life.
Now, technically, I went to vaping, but I should quit altogether. But you know, what can you do?
Well, I mean, that's a start. I mean, you're on the road, so.
Well, you gotta ask yourself one thing, Charles: do you or don't you?
I don't. I have no idea. I'm quitting because I need to. I don't want to quit, but I need to financially and help.
I chewed for years. You know, I even started up like last month, and I just recently quit again. I mean, it's a pain in the butt to quit. After 3 days, it's out of your system. After that, it's just habit.
Yeah.
You got to break that habit and just focus your train of thought on something else.
Yeah, the vaping has the nicotine, so I'm craving the habit more than the actual cigarette. So that's why I'm just going to stick with this thing.
Yeah. You
then
can
I'll
do it.
find out I can get cancer from a vapor and wish I just stayed smoking.
Yeah.
I quit smoking like 6 years ago, and I use those electronic cigarettes to help me quit. I used that for like 8 months, and then got myself out of that too. So
yeah,
it's still a little bit rough, but.
Well, I tell you what, when I quit, I went on the drug. I did Wellbutrin. My doctor prescribes Wellbutrin to me, and that's what I took. And when I actually quit and was able to lay them down because of the Wellbutrin worked so well, I started getting these tremendous headaches. Tylenol didn't touch them. Ibuprofen didn't touch them. Nothing I took touched them. And so I had a few ashtrays that were still around my house that had some cigarette butts in them. And I would go to that ashtray, pick up a cigarette butt, straighten it out, and light it. I would take 2 or 3 puffs, and my headache would instantaneously go away.
Yeah.
Okay? I did that, and that pissed me off so bad that a drug or something that I was doing like smoking could addict me so bad to give me those headaches that just made me more determined. I am getting off of these things. I'm never going back. And I ended up quitting. That was, like I said, like probably around 94 or 95, I believe it was. And I never looked back. And so
I've already been arrested 3 times today, jumping in people's dumpsters looking for cigarette butts. This is the next thing I'm trying to quit.
Even soda, even that soda, you can get so addicted to that, and if you try and cut back on soda, it'll give you headaches. I've had that happen too.
That's why I haven't quit it yet.
The headaches is from the addiction and not necessarily the cigarette.
Exactly.
And I am not good with headaches. I mean, so trying to drop Dr. Pepper next because my triglycerides are high, so I'll lose weight and all kinds of stuff. I won't have any bad habits left except for my mouth. Anyways, back to woodworking.
Another thing I'd like to point out, I have not posted it, but I am monitoring my channel, Simply Wooden Creations, on YouTube. This is running over live on YouTube if you wish to watch it over there. And I have not posted, but I will. I got it open over here on this computer, and if you comment or have a question on YouTube under Simply Wooden Creations, I will read your question on air, and we'll try to answer that one also, or your comment. So that's open over here.
Sterling Davis says moonshine has that effect on me.
Yeah. Well, also, anybody else, anything else they want to bring up? Anything? Oh, and by the way, Charles, you made my day just a little bit happier by seeing your smiling face on my show.
Thank you. Did you tell everybody we didn't have a big knockdown drag out for this to happen? Okay.
Yes.
I told him to kiss my pooper, and by God, he left.
I told him if it didn't look like his face, I might think about it.
My God. Well, it's good to see you have a full panel for your premiere show. By God, I'm so proud.
Thank you.
We're all getting paid for this gig, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Put your addresses into my email, and I'll see about sending you a check on the account of I don't give a damn.
See, these are all those people that back when Frank Tart was around, these are all the people that are going to say, well, I was only there for Russ anyway.
Yeah, I miss that guy. I really do.
He was a good fella.
He was a great guy. Dan Inglewood says, every time I try to quit, my wife ends up getting me a pack of cigarettes. She said she'd rather have me smoke than turn into the I become after smoking for 48 years. I can't seem to stop.
That was a very realistic censor button.
Yeah. Yeah. I got news for you. I can understand what she's saying, because after 48 years, I guarantee you could be that you talking about.
Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne said quitting smoking was harder than quitting heroin. I don't do heroin, luckily.
Yep. So, all right. Any more suggestions about what you would like to see? This is what I have on my list so far: finishing, bandsaw blade adjustment, installation, that kind of thing. Some basic how-to shows, and then Shannon's last suggestion was making the most out of cheaper tools like Harbor Freight tools and stuff like that. So
you know what I'd like to see on the show?
Brian, I will not hire a stripper, okay?
Well, I'm out.
Damn it!
Whoa.
No, what Brian? I'd like to see.
No, that's what I wanted.
I say we have a vote.
I want something worth watching, man.
Well, I'm not wearing any pants if that makes you feel any better. And that was when Russ's show went downhill.
We just lost 10 subscribers.
I was here to sabotage it.
Oh, no.
The show has jumped the shark.
Yep.
How about a review on lumber, different types of wood?
He said wood. I mean, what?
Aromatic cedar is my favorite kind of wood. To me, it's soft. The downside is it's brittle, but it's beautiful. It smells good when you're cutting it, and it cuts easily.
All right. What did you say again now, Chris?
Going over different types of lumber, different types of wood. I mean, everybody goes to the big box stores and grabs the pine off the shelf. But sourcing out other sources too.
All right, I'm gonna write down different types of wood, application, and sources.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the topic on today's show. That's why I started talking about aromatic cedar.
Yeah, that was you, Chuck.
That's what I get for being late.
Yeah, no, it's an open discussion on whatever. We're just talking in general tonight. I'm trying to get a feel for where to take the show next and what we want to do, what I want to do on the show, and I just wanted some input from people that are watching. We have 9 viewers. Thank everybody for watching, and see if they had any suggestions. Plus, everybody on the panel, if they had some suggestions on what they would like to see. So
we can talk about lighting.
I'll talk about lighting. Yeah, we can talk about lighting, even though I got cut off the other night and wasn't able to. Yeah, we can talk about lighting. They didn't like my questions. Well, by God, this is my damn show. I can ask whatever I want.
And he can say damn if he wants to.
So,
Workshop safety would be another really good one, I think.
what's that?
Workshop safety.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody losing fingers. I know we have relatively newbie workers watching probably, so.
As you mentioned that, I have been fortunate in my life to have of the injuries that I have occurred in woodworking have been very, very minor, so I've never lost a digit, thank God. But when I heard Chris Cute here a while back, he cut his finger on his bandsaw, or not his bandsaw, but his table saw. That really got home to me because I've met Chris. We've been friends for a little while, and I really got to thinking about that. I know the saw is very, very, very expensive, and it's out of my price range. I can tell y'all right off the bat. But when you think about it, down deep inside, if there's any way you could afford one, is it really worth your finger or your thumb? So. I mean, I'm talking about on my aspect. I thought about it from my aspect. That's not a bad idea now that I have somebody that I know that really had an injury, and he was very fortunate. He could have lost his whole thumb. And so, I really hate to think about that, is losing a finger or a thumb, and that made me even think, saw stuff ain't so overpriced when you think about it that way.
Well, I'll sacrifice my pinky for a good project, but Sterling Davis is wanting to know from Chris if he's willing to sell the pattern for the arc.
I haven't got any patterns to sell, but tell Sterling we'll touch base. We'll figure out something.
Somebody let that dog out.
Yeah, I was going to say, whoever's got the dog, if they don't mind them muting themselves for a little bit, that's kind of like...
Yeah,
I got 8 Yorkie puppies running around here.
Oh, okay. Well, then mute yourself, please. So,
man, you talking about Russ? You was talking about cutting your thumb. That's something I was thinking about. I had a kickback accident. I hadn't been woodworking very long, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I had a kickback accident because I didn't have my blade guard splitter on there. Is basically why it happened. But since then, I always use my splitter and blade guard, and I've noticed a lot. Very, very few people online use their blade guards, and not that's your prerogative. You can do what you want, but I always use my blade guard. I don't have a saw stop. Like you said, I can't afford it right now. But
Why
if
do
you've
you
got
use
your blade
guard?
Why?
Uh-huh.
To keep from ever touching the blade, hopefully, with my thumb or fingers.
Oh, okay, that's a good sense.
I mean, that's the blade guard. That's what it's there for. Right now, if I'm doing normal ripping procedures and my hand slips or something, it's going to hit the top of the blade guard instead of slamming down onto the blade. A lot of people just take it off. I think a lot of new woodworkers, this is just my opinion, I may be wrong, I think a lot of new woodworkers take their blade guards off because that's what everybody on YouTube does, or everybody on the woodworking shows on TV does. It's just because, hey, everybody else does it, or hey, it's a little quicker. If you're in that big a hurry, maybe you don't need to be using the table saw. I mean, it's just my opinion on it.
I don't disagree with you because, yes, you're right. Every saw that I've ever owned, that's on a table saw. Let's go back to that. Every table saw that I've ever owned, I don't put. When they even didn't make them, when they first started making them, I would take them off and throw them away. But I can honestly say I didn't learn that on YouTube because I've been woodworking a lot longer than I've been on YouTube or watching YouTube videos. But it's just one of those things. I do know without a shadow of a doubt that riving knife, that makes a big difference on the kickback. If you get that board a little bit to the left or to the right, that riving knife will help prevent that kickback. So, of the two that I would say, if you were going to eliminate one of them, I would definitely keep the riving knife, and then the blade guard maybe not so much. But
yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah,
The blade guard, I have a hard time seeing my cuts with the blade guard on.
Yeah,
right.
same thing.
Yeah, and
way.
this is like really funny because since that came up about Chris Cute cutting his finger and some other stuff, my saw came with a blade guard and a riving knife, and neither one of them's never been on my saw. And right after Chris Cute cut his finger, I went out and dug up the part.
The riving knife.
And I've got it I have not used my table saw since I have found it, and I intend on putting it on my table saw before I start using it again.
Hey, Brian, I've got a question, and this
Yeah.
may go for the rest of them. You said you can't see your cuts with the blade guard on. What do you need to see?
Well, usually, when I'm ripping a piece of board with the blade guard on there, with that thick plastic, when it's brand new, it looks nice, but after you've used it a while and it's got all those scratches, if you're at an angle, I can't see the cut being cut clear.
Yeah, it's too foggy.
Yeah.
See, that's the same way right now with my blade guard on there. It's old. I've had my saw, that table saw, I guess about 5 years. I can't see, but I know it's cutting. If I'm set up, say I'm ripping a board 4 inches wide, and I've got it set up, all I've got to do is make sure that board is staying firm against the fence.
Yeah, that ain't too bad if you got a fence that actually rides along a ruler that's accurate.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of these guys that have these blade guards, and if they're a newbie, they're pretty much got those cheap saws that the fence doesn't really, isn't accurate with the measuring tape.
Yeah, I have a contractor saw, and I have to be very careful about whenever I get the fence, make sure the fence is locked down and doesn't want to move, because if you don't get it just right and you start cutting, it will move. At least with the blade guard not on there, I can see and stop and correct it. Or I'll tell you another thing I've learned to do on my saw, and that is it's gotten to the point now, if I'm going to make some cuts, I usually do test cuts just to make sure everything's set up with a scrap piece of wood. Well, if the blade guard's on there, I can't see good enough to make sure that the test cut is going right because I'm using a shorter piece of wood. So, I mean, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think if you're a newbie, I would definitely leave the stuff on there just to err on the side of safety. But for me, the blade guard is not going back on. Now, the riving knife, I agree with. That'll stop me.
I don't run it without the riving knife.
Yeah.
But, yeah, my new saw, just out of habit, I haven't put on the blade guard. But with my new saw, I think it's wide enough to where I can actually see the cut being cut. But just out of habit, I've never put the blade guard on. But I've always run it with the riving knife.
Yeah, it's the same with me. I don't think I ever have taken the riving knife off, except for like a dado set.
Yeah.
And as far as the blade guard, I don't even know where it's at. But
mine's up in the rafters somewhere.
I figure if my hand gets as close to the insert, the table saw insert, then that's as far as my hand's going.
Yeah.
I'll use a push stick or push block or something else,
Two things. I use either a push. I've religiously gotten to where I try to use a push stick or a push block or something like that to keep my fingers out of the way. And the second thing I've learned is I built a crosscut sled. And if I'm cutting anything that's small in any way, shape, or form, I'm talking about anything around 12 inches or less. It goes on that crosscut sled, and I cut it with that one, so you have a lot more control and less chances of it binding or stuff. So, crosscut sled to me is one of the greatest things I ever did on my table saw.
Yeah. Definitely love my crosscut sleds.
Yeah.
And my panel sleds.
I want to make a few other things too. So, Sterling Davis said the fence should be 1/8 of an inch off the backside to help prevent kickback, and it will not make a difference in the glue up. Yeah, I've heard of that, about making it a little bit, wider on the rear, I guess, than in the front to help get kickback. I've heard of that, but personally, I don't.
It allows for sloppy cuts.
Yeah, I want mine on the nose, and that's why I said I've gotten to mine's a contract, old Craftsman contractor saw. I've had it for like 15 years. Does a great job. It was designed and built for cutting on. I was doing framing and stuff when you needed to cut a 2x4 or cut something or rip something for framing. That's what it was designed to do. It was not designed to make some of the stuff that I've tried to make with it. So, therefore, the fence is not as accurate as I would like for it to be. As far as cutting, I can cut 45s, I can cut 90s. I mean, the blade accuracy is not the problem. The blade alignment to the table is not the problem. The fence is really weak. And I've beefed up the fence and made it a little bit better, but the fence is the problem. I'd love to have a stop saw with a Biesmeyer fence on it or whatever. Yeah, I'd love to have one of those. Unfortunately, it's not in the plans right now. I can't cough up $2,000 or $3,000 for one of those things.
Sterling Davis is saying the fence should be an 1/8 off on the backside to help prevent kickback. It will not make a difference when they glue up.
Riving knife helps prevent kickback.
Yeah,
The
I
fence
know
would parallel with the blade.
I know what Sterling's saying, and I have heard that, and I've seen.
You
other
just don't
people
want it.
doing that.
You don't want it too narrow because then it binds. But that riving knife keeps it from kickback. That
Well-
fence should be parallel with your blade. If not, the back end should be wider.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what he's
I would go
referring
any more
to.
than
is
like
back.
That is great as far as if you're cutting stuff that you're not needing. I mean, down to the. If you're building cabinets, you can't do that. I got news for
Right.
you. You start getting an 1/8 of an inch off, and 1/8 of
You're
an
in a
inch.
world of hurt.
Yeah, and a 36-inch piece is yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how precise you need to be.
Yes. Yeah. Now, if you don't need to be precise and you're cutting some stuff like you're just cutting some wood up to make pieces to let's say scroll on, and you're going to end up cutting them again. You're ripping up some bigger pieces into smaller pieces so you can scroll on them, and you're going to end up cutting them again for the frame. Then
Yeah.
yes, what he's saying will absolutely work and help prevent kickback.
Yeah. But if you're looking at the front of the blade, that's where you're cutting. But if your back end is swiveling back and forth like this, it's causing you to have a swivel cut.
Yeah.
I'd rather have something nice and smooth instead of edgy.
Well,
like
in front of the blade's not going to give you the kickback. In my experience, any kickback I've had is caused from healing of the back of the blade.
Yeah. That's when it's too narrow.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to have the fence kicked out away from the blade on the back side, I mean, a few thousandths is going to make a big difference, but an 1/8 inch is.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, but in the same aspect, if you have that fence kicked in or an 1/8 of an inch, that is where you're going to get the kickback.
Yeah,
Right.
It's going to heal on you.
It's going to heal and pinch.
Yep.
Now, if you're 0 or positive, then you're going to be okay. But you don't want it negative. That's when it starts to pinch.
Yep. Okay, anybody else?
Can we do a show on router tables?
Router tables, okay?
Yeah, I need to know. I've got one. I bought one at Sears, and I've been piddling with it, and you know, it's a process for me. It takes me a while to get it figured out.
Okay.
And any help would be appreciated.
Yeah, especially with those starting pins. Do people use their starting pins?
Yeah. That's another good one. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 7 topics, so I'm into 7 or 8 shows right now. So
Some of these topics can be actually multi-episode shows. I mean,
yes, you're right, John. That's what I found out when I did the drills. I did the first show on drills. I did it just showing the drills, and we were talking about the difference in drills as far as electric and battery operated. And the next show I did was actually on the drill bits, and I actually did some drilling right here on the shows. And so, yeah, you could break some of those topics into 2 or 3, at least 2, and maybe even 3 different shows. So
you did that with sandpaper too, I believe.
yeah, sandpaper too.
Yeah.
So
Now I
talking
know-
about routers and whatnot. The routers, I mean, my God, router table is one episode. Routers could be another one. Bits could be another one. I mean,
Yeah,
could go
different
on for
size
months.
router, what they're used for, bits, what they're used for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah, we could.
Woodcraft has those little workshops where you pay a little bit of something and you go in there and you learn how to use the tool. If we get that information here, that put Woodcraft out of business.
It should, man.
That's what I'm
As much
hoping
as they
for.
charge for lumber, I think that'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really.
because I need to save my money for a planer.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is, Russ, is that I can start charging y'all for being on the show and learning stuff?
Well, I'm not.
No, we ought to
I
charge
didn't say
our
nothing
viewers.
You need to start me a tab.
What? I think we have a bad connection. What?
I can't believe Woodcraft and them get
I
away
think,
with all
I think
that.
my battery's
though.
dying.
You should start a tab for me, yeah.
Heck, you want to learn anything, you just pull up YouTube.
And a couple of the woodworking magazines as well. They have
Yeah.
online classes that you can take. They're like $30, $40 a piece.
Yeah, there's several people that are doing that, and actually, the Woodworkers Guild now are selling access to their videos on YouTube, or online, I should say, that you can get into their guild and watch their videos on different stuff. I'm not going to mention some names for free advertisement, but there's a woodworker that is fairly popular that he sells his guild, and you can watch his videos, and he teaches you how to make stuff. He was just doing that woodworker for cancer thing the other day. I'm not going to mention his name because he don't need any free advertisement.
Sterling wanted to clarify that he was just looking for, on that 189 on the fence, he was just looking out for the safety of new woodworkers. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
Promotional of you.
I know what he's talking about, and and I understand what he was trying to say, and I'm very aware of it. I have heard it before over the years about people doing that, lacking and or moving the fence like Brian was saying, a little a negative pot. Anyway, away from the blade on the back side to try to prevent kickback. I'm aware of that. I'm just not a fan of it. That's all I got to say is I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I heard that too. I'm not a fan.
So the one thing that I do know is, and I will reiterate this, is I've never used one before. This will be the first time my saw came with it, and I've never had it on there. But I am going to put that riving knife on that saw and try to. What was that? Anyway, I'm going to try to use it and see how it works for my own personal benefit to stop the kickback and see if that helps any or whatever. And the only reason I got to thinking about this, and the reason the subject came up tonight, is because of Chris Cute's little incident that he had a while back, and when he injured his thumb. I mean, that brought it home to me.
Not only that, have you guys watched Sam? I forget what his name is, but Wyoming woodturner or something like that. He was on the table saw and he cut all 3 fingers off.
Woo!
Yeah.
And I know Russ feels the way of what I'm about to say. He is not getting on when he mentions Chris Hughes. He's not getting on about him. He's saying even if you have experience, people take certain things that take it. They take for granted that it's not going to happen. It can happen to anybody. But sometimes you just get absent-minded and things happen. And he barely nicked it, but he said it was embarrassing. It was a wake-up call.
To be honest, I wish they would come up with the saw stop that's affordable.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that is great technology. Not saying if you need it or if you're not a man without it or anything. I'm just saying that is great technology to not only just save some fingers, but I just wished it was affordable. Now I know that they're great big old cabinet saws. They're excellent quality. I'm not knocking it down, but I just wish the technology that they put into it was a little bit cheaper.
Yes, I agree. Make it more affordable for the average person to be able. Is my digits any more less precious than your digits, Brian, or Charles' digits, or Chris' digits, or John's digits? No, our fingers are all precious to each one of them. So they need to bring it down to the point where it's more affordable for the average Joe woodworker rather than make a damn solid $3,000. I mean, come on.
Right.
It also
And
depends on
that's
what
why I
digits you're
give
talking
kudos
about.
to Bosch for, trying to get in on that market.
Yeah. What'd you say, Charles?
I don't know if it was appropriate. I said it depends on which digits you're referring to, how
Yeah.
important they are.
Yeah. That's true, and you brought up a good point. And I'm not. Yes, I didn't mean to think or say or in any way interpret that Chris was any less of a word worker or he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
I'm bringing his
Things
point.
happen.
Yeah, it happens. I don't care how much of a professional you are. You can cut a finger off, or you can cut you can have something bad happen to you in the wood shop. And I know I talked to Chris Cute, and I know what happened to him. He was cutting a piece of wood. Something made a noise, like a bang or something moved, and just for one split second, he took his eye off and looked away and looked back, and then boom, that quick, he'd cut his thumb.
Yeah.
Now, if you're on a scroll saw and you cut your finger off, something's just flat mentally wrong with you. You'd have to be trying. Okay, this hurts, but I think I can stop. No.
That's not entirely true, Charlie. You've never seen me work a scroll saw.
The dumbest thing I ever did was I was wiping dust off of a router table that was still on, and my dumb idiot, I had a perfect Roman OG on the end of my finger.
Wow.
Well, when I want that router episode, I don't want Charlie teaching it.
Yeah, really. You cannot teach router classes on this show.
I set myself up for that one.
I just want to go back and reiterate, I was not trying to in any way say that Chris Cute did something wrong or whatever. He had an accident that any one of us or anybody can have, and I'm very glad that he didn't lose his whole finger, or his whole thumb, so to speak, that it was only as minor as it was. But
everybody thumbs up for Chris.
Yeah, it really, though, brought home to me more emphasis on the table saw. It really made me think a little bit. I don't know who that is that's got that in the background, but please mute yourself. But it really brought it home to me and made me think twice about I'll admit, I have cut some stuff on a table saw and done some stuff that it was stupid. Flat out stupid. I shouldn't have been done it. I did it. I didn't cut my fingers off, thank God, but I did it anyway. And so now that I've gotten a little older and a little wiser, those cuts I wouldn't make. I wouldn't do them anymore. So when you're young and dumb, you do some things that sometimes turns out, all right, and sometimes it can have some really bad consequences. So I was fortunate.
Accidents notwithstanding, newbies sometimes don't know what they're doing wrong, and people that are professionals, sometimes they tend to get a little complacent and not think about the safety aspect as much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Accidents notwithstanding.
Yes, they do.
Have you guys watched Lovanna Farms?
No.
No.
Well, Sarah, she was cutting like a log that was round on the bandsaw. And they just got that bandsaw, and boy, that blade kind of like broke and slipped on her. Luckily, she didn't get hurt, but the reason why it happened is because she didn't have that round piece cradled when she went in to cut it on the bandsaw. So, yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, then things like that can happen.
I would also love to reach through the camera and grab her by the throat and say, get them damn gloves off on the bandsaw.
Yeah.
Little things like that us newbies need to know.
Yeah.
Speaking of dumb things on a bandsaw, I got the bright idea the other day. I was making some beeswax mineral oil finish for cutting boards, and I was sitting there chopping and chopping. Beeswax is a bit of a pain, so I thought, you know what? I got a perfectly fine bandsaw out there. I'll just go cut it up with that, and it did. Cut through the beeswax, no problem. However, every stinking project since then, that blade, something in the process, that blade is like just soaked, for lack of a better term, in beeswax now, because I've got this waxy discharge coming like every time I cut now, and you know.
Oh, you got it inside your saw and your wheels and that
Oh, yeah.
tires and everything
Your
else.
wheels,
It's gotten to the point where you almost can't, like, if you're making a multi-angle cut, you can't almost back out now because it'll just take the blade and everything right off the wheels. It's popped off so many times since I've done that, and I'm still kicking myself over it.
Yeah, you're going to have to do a major cleaning, like with alcohol, to get all that stuff out of there, because it's got on your tires, and it's got into there. So that's, I mean, wow.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, and I thought, yeah, it won't be no big deal, and it did. Cut the beeswax is fine, but you know, oops.
Yeah.
All the little details.
I'll tell you, I did 2 things I'll tell on myself on a bandsaw. Number one, I got this bright idea one time to use like 1-inch thick wood and cut out something on the scroll saw and then take it to the bandsaw and cut it in half. That will save me a lot of time and I'll have 2 pieces. Well, the thing that I was cutting was like an oval. It was an oval shape. So I put my hands one on this side and one on that side and proceeded to push it through the bandsaw. And everything for the first 2 inches went really well. It was all going real smooth. And all of a sudden, it snatched that sucker out of my hand and sit there and spun around a couple of times and then went sideways and hung the blade, and the bandsaw started smoking. I had to turn it off, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, ooh. You know, I thought for one split second that could have snatched my hand, not my fingers, my whole hand into that blade so quick. And I mean, it was a dumb, stupid move that I tried to do. But, yeah, I tried it. The next thing I did was one time it was running, and a piece of wood that I cut was stuck near the blade, and I reached up to grab a hold of it to pull it away from the blade rather than turning the bandsaw off, and I stuck my finger onto the blade. Oh, yeah, it cut a good 1/4 of an inch into the end of my finger, right in through my fingernail and everything.
So Russ, when I've cut stuff in half, like you're describing there, I usually put 2 1/2-inch boards on either side of it and feed that through instead.
Oh, yeah, okay, so you take and sandwich it in between 2 1/2-inch pieces of board?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to try that. Well, the first thing I tried, that was such a failure, I don't even know if I want to try it again. it scared the, let's put it this way, I had to go change underwear after that incident.
Ew!
It scared the out of me.
Don't need that visualization.
You said it and then you did it.
Yeah.
Like I tell my helpers at work, work smart, not hard.
Yeah, but I never thought about that. That might work if you sandwiched it in between 2 other pieces of board. Like I said, that experience just, I'm like, nah, if I need them that bad, I'll cut 2 of them or I'll stack cut them. I ain't doing that again.
Well, I have a confession to make that I've actually cut meat on my bandsaw.
Yeah.
And I took frozen ham out of the freezer one day and didn't want to wait for it to thaw, so I cut it in half. Rewrapped 1/2, threw it back in the freezer, took the yellow one back, put it on the grill.
I did that with a scroll saw once.
I remember doing a cut, and I had to do like a little notch. And instead of having it flat on the bed, I figured, well, I just tilted a little bit to get to the angle that I wanted, and then I cut it. Well, that tooth hit that point, and I tell you what, that just shot right out of my head like nothing. I was like, stupid.
All right.
Maybe in our woodshop safety episode, we should have a woodshop confessions.
Yeah, no doubt. That's
Not a bad idea.
Well, guys, we're rocking on an hour for the show. It has been a great show. I really appreciate it. I have a full panel tonight. That is fantastic. Thank you, each and every. Thanks, Brian, Charles, Chris, David, John Cousins, John Schaffner, Russ Meadows, Shannon, Tommy. Thank all of y'all for being on the show tonight. I really appreciate it. I would like, anytime you want to be on the show again, feel more than welcome. You're more than welcome to be on my show. thanks for the. We had 9 or 10 viewers at one time, so thank you to all the viewers. Thank to Dan Inglewood for being on the
And Sterling.
Q&A. Thank for Sterling Davis. I'm trying to think of who else was on there. Sterling Davis, Dan,
Jerry, I believe.
Jerry. Okay, Jerry. Thank you all for being on the Q&A. I appreciate it. Y'all have made my first show happen. Without you, I couldn't have done it. So just remember, I will be back on again next Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be posting on the Woodshop show that Charles and I still have open on Facebook and some other places. Hope to see you next week. And if you only remember one thing, stay safe and keep the blade on the line.
And congratulations, Russ, on your first show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, should I leave out before I do that? Should I leave out with my thing that I did before? No, I won't do it.
I'm afraid to ask what you're talking about, but okay.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
You have an intro, you have an outro.
You'll have to watch the beginning of the show once it posts. All right, thanks everybody, and good night. We're going to stop broadcasting.
All right.